MoYak family, what is up, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. We've got the Table Rock recap here, going through some stuff. I'm excited about this episode. What's up, Josh, man? How are you doing?
Doing good, bud. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this episode and looking forward to talking to our special guest. Let's get going on some announcements. We got the KBF National Qualifying. I guess there's some stuff going on with that right now.
Yeah, as far as the KBF National Championship, I did make that video today about that. The situation with that is you need to be a KBF member to qualify. That's the simplest way I know how to put it. So basically, before the tournament starts, we are a partner club with KBF, and we will award 10% of the entry, or the anglers that are entered in the tournament. The top 10% will earn a shot to the national championship if you're a KBF member before the tournament starts. So we were kind of thinking, earlier in the year that it was like it was last year, to where you could still qualify and have time to buy your KBF membership, before the national championship, but it's not that way. This year, you need to be a KBF member before the tournament starts. So if anyone is interested in competing in the national championship or trying to earn a spot in the national championship, I would strongly suggest go ahead and get your KBF membership now. As soon as we go back to live events, which is probably going to be Truman, the onlines won't count anymore. So June is going to be the last online national championship qualifier if you're already a KBF member. And if you want to qualify for the national championship, you need to sign up for KBF and become a KBF member. And then we'll award slots to those people at each tournament. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Speaking of Truman, we got, July 27th. We're headed that way. Excited about that tournament. Hopefully it'll be a live event. Looking forward to it. Should be a good turnout. On the website, MoYak Fishing, we have the AOI points updated. We have both the teams and the individuals, and probably also the monthly AOI updates on there as well. Guys, remember, your lowest two scores will get dropped from AOI. So if you have not fished, Lake of the Ozarks and Table Rock, you still have 5 events to accolade points towards the AOI. So, don't forget that. It's kind of, what you need to kind of focus on if you're going for that AOI. If you're just coming out and having fun, don't worry about it. But those guys that, fish, 6 or 7 tournaments and want to compete for that AOI, it's go time. We're in that point.
Yeah, and also if you're just now getting into this or you're new to MoYak, it's not too late. You can still get involved in this. Like Jonathan said, the 2 scores are dropped, so that's basically Lake of the Ozarks and Table Rock. So you can start on Truman and have a clean slate, and you're right there in contention with everybody else. So it's not too late to become a MoYak member and get involved in that Angler of the Year race. And KBF National Championship spots will be awarded at the end of the year based off of those Angler of the Year spots. So it's not too late.
Yeah, guys, definitely get signed up if you guys want to do that. Let's go through our May online winners. We just wrapped up May. Brennan Banks, Dorman Huey, we heard from those guys a couple weeks ago. They finished 1 and 2, and then Troy Inky, he rounded out your top 3. Josh, what's going on with the Missouri May Madness, man?
Well, in the May Madness tournament, we're down to the final round. We've made it through 64 anglers, have battled it out one at a time, and now we're down to the final 2 anglers. And that's going to be Jonathan Dominguez, and you're going to go up against Mr. McNasty himself, Richie McMichael. So that is going to be a great showdown and really going to be cool to see unfold this weekend.
Yeah, man, we've talked about him a lot on this podcast. I think at some point we should get him on here, maybe bring him on here and talk to him. Richie, man, good luck this weekend. I hope you tear him up. I hope you make it tough on me, and I'm looking forward to it. We wrapped up Table Rock this weekend as well. Marty Hughes, James Eichen, and Tommy Propes. Those are your top 3 finishers from Table Rock. Josh, I don't know about you, man, but I not only struggled, but I lost a rod in the process, man. That was so frustrating. And then I come back to the ramp that I put in, and of course Richie Lockery's there. He's like, "Man, you got to save your stuff." It was a rough day, man. It was a rough day. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was the same. I didn't lose a rod, but the high water conditions just completely threw my game plan out the window. I mean, I had fished there the week before when it was high, but it wasn't quite as high as it was then. And that's actually one of the worst conditions I've ever been on Table Rock. I fished there quite a bit, and I just got spun out. I just didn't know what to do. I couldn't get a bite. I caught one fish, on Saturday. On Sunday, I was supposed to compete. I went to a new spot, and I was about to launch, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go home. I can't catch fish. I don't know what to do. I'm going to go mow the yard and eat some hamburgers. So I just threw in the towel. I mean, it was really tough. I mean, I think a lot of guys found some success maybe fishing in the flooded backyards, but the water was so high that the fish were just scattered. I mean, they had so much room to go to. It was hard to even get to even try to catch them because they could just hide from you. You couldn't even get to them with the kayak. I mean, it was just tough. My hat's off for the guys that went out there and grinded out a good limit, man. Hats off for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely some tough conditions. Along with our Table Rock winners, we had some team trail winners. H&H Bass Destroyers, of course, again, it's Dorman Huey and Jim Harding. Tore it up, won the team trail this weekend. And then second place was the Bream team. Jacob Johnson, Mike Dent. This weekend was packed with multiple tournaments going on and wrapping up May Online. And congratulations to those guys and to all those guys that caught fish and had a great weekend. Table Rock was definitely a different beast this year.
That's for sure. It's in the books. That's all I can say. So now we're looking forward and we're moving ahead, and we've got the June Online, and we got Truman Lake coming up next.
Yeah, it every time I think about, Saturday I got off the water and I thought about when we talked to Troy Inky, and I loved what he said. We asked him, "Hey man, what event are you looking forward to?" And he goes, "It's always the next one." And as soon as I got it off the water, I'm like, you know what? I get to fish Truman in a couple weeks, and it's gonna be great. You throw your hat in there, you do your best, and that's what you can do, and that's fishing, and that's what's my favorite part about us kayak fishing together. I think that's awesome.
That's how it goes. I mean, can be horrible one day, but you got the next day. It's time to move on. We'll rip them up the next day. We'll slay him at Truman. Who knows? And if we don't, we'll slay him after that.
That's true. And if we don't slay him there, we'll probably go find our honey hole and catch a couple.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, man, let's get into the kayak tip of the week. Sun protection.
Sun protection is something that people should, be aware of for sure, because especially this time of the year, now we're getting into the hot, time of the year where the sun's really cooking. And I think a lot of us probably got a little bit of a burn on Table Rock, this last weekend when that sun popped out, Saturday afternoon. So, if you're going to be doing this constantly, it's a good precautionary measure to cover your skin. I used to be one of those guys where I would just strip my shirt down and I would go, I wouldn't wear nothing but a pair of shorts. And I would get my tan and think I was safe. But, as you get older, you get a little wiser, and it's best to take a little bit of protection, maybe even some sunscreen on your ears or a face buff to protect your neck, or, wearing a long sleeve shirt. Those things can really help out a lot. And, it's best to keep your skin protected when you're sitting out in a kayak all day. And if you've been doing this for any amount of time and you've sat in a kayak in a pair of shorts, you got that burn right there on the inside of your thighs, right there on the inside of your knees. Yeah. And those knees are going to get fried. So, that's a spot you want to put some sunscreen on, or maybe even keep covered up too. But, It's part of the thing. Just protect yourself from the sun because you're going to be out in it.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, one of those other things that you may not think about a lot, but I mean, um, it's just you gotta have it. Protect yourself, protect your skin. If that means, like you said, wearing a buff or some fishing gloves or something to keep that sun off you. Not only that, but you look kind of goofy when you only have some parts of you really tanned and others that are not. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm rocking that farmer's tan right now, buddy. I don't know if you can see it. Whew,
my
bad.
Sarah, my fiance, has been giving me a hard time because my hands are super super dark, but my arms, because I've always worn long sleeves, they're pale as can be, and she's just like, you look goofy. And then I take off my watch, that I wear all the time, and it's just pale as can be. But yeah, definitely protect yourself in the sun, protect yourself in the elements. It's just like that rain gear, it's just like that other stuff we've talked about. Just keep yourself protected. Josh, I don't know about you, man, but I'm looking forward to Truman.
I am too. We haven't really gotten any new updates from the state as far as live tournaments go, as far as meeting up and getting together, but still got my fingers crossed that at Truman we're finally going to get back to normal, and we'll have that have that buffet of food, we'll have that camaraderie at the end, we'll all get to share our stories together. So I'm real hopeful that Truman we can finally get back to normal, and that's what I'm really excited about. Because a lot of anglers have come up to me and told me about what a great time they're having, so far this year fishing MoYak, and honestly, I'm like, we haven't even started yet. These we haven't even met. You haven't seen nothing yet. If you think this is cool, you just wait because it's going to get a whole lot better. I promise you.
Yeah, I've talked about it before. I showed up for that first event last year at Lake of the Ozarks, and you guys gave away I don't even know how many things, and I'm like, oh, they probably just do this for the first one. That way they can get everybody, there and they're hooked. And sure enough, every single event, I not only left with food, I left with jigs, I left with there's so much. I don't even know how much stuff I left with, that but then getting there and talking to everybody and hanging out with the guys and just talking about how their day went. I mean, I am very much looking forward to that. So if you guys have been enjoying this, enjoying fishing the tournaments, just wait till we have a live event. It's gonna knock your socks off.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody can see or not, but all these boxes and all this stuff stacked up behind me, that's all stuff waiting to be given away to you. That's all membership stuff, that's sponsorship stuff. We've got a ton of stuff ready to go. I need to get this out of my house, so I'm ready to get these tournaments started. Let's go.
Well, that is awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for being with us again. Thanks for Marty for taking some time out of his busy schedule to come on here. Great, great guy, great kayak angler, great, just overall awesome guy. Just appreciate his time on there.
Yep.
That's the first time I've got to talk to him, and man, I honestly wish that next time he's down here, I can sit down and visit with him.
Yep. He's a true OG of the sport, that's for sure.
True OG. Well, guys, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you guys at Truman. Looking forward to June and getting this year really underway. It should be a good time. Josh, what else you got for us, man?
Man, I just want to wish everyone a good week, a good day, and stay safe and stay healthy.
There it is, guys. Thank you so much for being with us again. Well, guys, this is the part of the show that we've all been waiting for. It's been a great weekend. It's been a busy one. We've got a great guest with us tonight. Just to go through some accolades before we introduce him and bring on here. He's from Auburn, Nebraska. He's got 130 total tournament finishes, with 31 finishes being first, second, or third, with a total of 80 top 10 finishes, which is awesome. He is part of the national championship team from 2019, which, Josh, you were part of that as well, which is really cool to see. Personal best bass is 21.5 inches, largemouth. He is also the owner of Kayak Jacks Outfitters and Guide Service, and that should give it away. Marty Hughes. Marty, man, how are you?
I'm good, man. You made it back safe. I'm recovering. My legs have recovered. And, I actually worked a 9-hour day today. as well. But
Good grief.
oh, yeah, it was last night though. I slept good, Josh. I slept good.
I bet it was a long 2 days. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Josh and I before this, we were talking about how we kind of struggled on the water, and it seems like you had a great day. I mean, let's introduce yourself. Tell us about you, man, and what you got going on in your life.
Well, I guess right now I work in a school, and of course it'd be summer vacation now, but I think that started March, not really summer vacation, but not being around the kids. And it's been kind of weird because I'm the only guy around there usually, except, our custodial staff and stuff. And it's just kind of different, but I guess right now we're kind of reorganizing education because of what's happened. And that's all, kind of a tough deal, being a pioneer for what's going to happen there. But I have a family here, and we live in Auburn, Nebraska. My wife works with little 0 to 3 year olds and helping their moms and stuff. And I've been an educator 38 years, an administrator for 5 or 6, something in there. I'm a principal in a middle school, high school, and I love fishing, and I love inspiring kids, to be in the outdoors and do activities, and also inspire other adults as well to kayak fish, because it's something I love to do.
So what's it been like for you with all this COVID-19? Of course, kids aren't going to school, and do you feel like it's helped you or hurt you as far as kayak fishing?
Well, normally I would take off on a Friday night and drive all night and unload at the boat ramp at the start of the tournament. That's how I roll. And this year I've been able to go a little bit earlier, and take off and go. But I'm not the guy that gets to go pre-fish for 3 or 4 days. I'm the guy that shows up that morning and does his research on the internet and makes phone calls and figures it out that way, and look at the weather, and things like that. But I would say, and the other thing is, as an administrator, your head's on a swivel all day, for trying to help people with things. And my focus has been better this year with that. In the summer, summer's when I usually finish better because I don't have as much stress. But during the spring and in the fall, it seems like I don't fish as well because I'm thinking about something else besides fishing when I'm out there. But the fishing helps me to reduce that stress,
That's cool, man. Definitely an outlet for you. So you live in Nebraska. You're an administrator. Nebraska is not very close to Table Rock Lake. What brings you down to Missouri and fishing our lakes around here?
Well, ironically, Jonathan, tonight at supper with my wife, I said, Diane, I want to buy a place down there.
Yes.
And just to have and have it for friends to go stay at, make it an Airbnb and make a little money, to pay for it a little bit. But if I have a friend in Kansas or whatever wants to stay there, then they could stay there. Jonathan or Joshua Booth they could stay there. That's kind of my goal now, because I just love that area. I love the guys down there. You guys, you're all. In fact, I feel horrible that I didn't join the MoYak, but the schedule with the Nebraska schedule was the same, so it wouldn't do any good to go. I mean, I'd have to go to Missouri, and of course, that wouldn't be good as I'm a director for the Nebraska Trail, so one of the directors. But it's only 5.5 hours, and for me, it's the drive that reduces the stress. Get out on the road and pulling my trailer, and that to me is the fun in it. And I travel quite a bit. I went to Oklahoma last weekend, and this week I may go to Mississippi. Don't know yet. I'm still trying to get out of putting on a garage sale. So, I just like to travel. But you've got Table Rock, you've got Taneycomo, you've got Bull Shoals. When I first went down there, started going down. Now we go vacation there a lot, Branson. But I used to think Taneycomo didn't have any bass in it, only trout. And little did I know fishing it. And in Bull Shoals, I caught a 20-inch bass there this year in a tournament. And so I just love it down there.
The fishing is great in that whole area, the whole Tri-Lakes area, the White River system. Yeah. It's amazing. And it's just beautiful right there. The whole topography around the Arkansas-Missouri border is just beautiful.
Yeah. And, when we vacation there, I take my kayaks, and like last summer I went down there and was messing around and caught a 20-inch bass, leisurely just kayaking around. And then I found some 18s on a boat dock. And that, the thing is, you can catch a really big fish there not thinking about it, and the chance of a big smallie, like Saturday, I got a 20-incher. That was personal best. My personal best largemouth is a 22.5. I've caught 2 of them here in Nebraska, but on the Tourney X, it shows 21.5 because that was before they had Tourney X.
Okay.
But I did enter those fish in an online tournament, those 22.5s, and I beat, who I beat in that? Carl Hudson, because he's Mr. Online.
Oh man, and Table Rock's one of those lakes too where you can get all 3 species, spotted bass, smallmouth, largemouth.
Yeah.
And if you want to go crazy, the white bass, the goggle eye, the crappie, the catfish. I mean, if you're an angler, this area of the country is a great place to be. We're really fortunate to be down here.
And the people were friendly. Even the guides at the ramps. A guy Sunday morning gave me 2 flukes to use. I was looking for Arkansas Shiner, couldn't find any stores, and I was too late to order. And he said, "Hey, here's a couple for you." And he made a couple pointers to me and stuff when I was there. And then people on the lake, they come by, "Hey, that's a cool looking kayak," and just everywhere you went, people were pretty nice.
Yeah, we got a great group of people down here. Due to this region, we've got so much water. I think it kind of tends to bring out the people that love the outdoors. There's a lot of us here because we've got so much opportunity. But you did mention that bait, that Arkansas Shiner. Mm-hmm. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
How does that play into what you were thinking going into this tournament, and what was your strategy coming into Table Rock before you even arrived as far as pre-fishing goes and spots you were looking for?
Well, I figured the rivers were all flooded out, blown out. And so I just wanted to stay away from there. And for me, the way I finesse fish, I thought that the dam area, which is about a 6-mile area, according to you guys down there, that's a big area in those fingers, that I might have a better chance down there catching some spots and maybe a big smallmouth, which happened. And so going in, the flooding I was like, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do here. But I didn't realize how high it really was. It was up there.
It was bad. It was real bad.
But I know that bass like cover, and they were just like living in those cedar trees. And the fluke, and looking at what people were doing down there, it looked like there was a short top. Well, there was a good top water bite before the clouds left. And then with Bluebird Skies, I knew that it was going to last long. So I was going to work from the top down. So my strategy going in was to throw some top water, then go to the fluke, a foot to 2 down, and then go to something down below the base, like the Nico or a Cinco, things like that, or a shaky head, whatever, to get down in the bottom, maybe even a jig. And so what happened was that happened at Bluebird Skies. I threw top water, nothing. I had one blow up, I think. And then I went to the fluke and I got a couple that way. But
was this during practice?
Oh, during practice, I threw the albino fluke, and I threw the Nico a little bit, went to the dam, nothing there. I did get some good hits on the fluke and didn't boat them. I just kind of, just let them go off. I didn't try to hook them, and pulled them out of the trees. And so I thought, okay, they're in, the thing was that the pattern was they're in those trees and they're right below the surface and they got their noses out looking. And so that morning I went out and it was about an hour. I think at 6:30, I caught a couple 16s, I think it was. And then that, the fluke bite died. And so that's when I went over by Nate to see how he was doing on the other cove. And this isn't the fishing part of it. And he said, yeah, I just hooked into a big one. And we thought there might be a drop shot bite out in the middle, down low in the 20 to 25 foot range, which there was in pre-fishing, and left it alone. And the next day they weren't there. They were gone. And so I went over to Nate, and he said, I hooked a big one. I said, what were you using, man? I was using a jig, and he didn't say what kind of jig, you know. I didn't know. And Nate's pretty secretive, you know. So I started. He goes, you want to go fish the dam? Because we kind of paired up because it's kind of dangerous with the high speed boats and stuff. And he had a bright red boat, and I had an orange flag. That helped because we crossed the main channel twice.
Yeah, that can get hairy on Table Rock for sure. Yeah. Them wake boats out there.
Yeah, there was some that I was like, oh man, keep your head in the swivel, look over there. And we didn't have much wind, so that helped. If there would have been wind, we wouldn't have done it. So I'm going, he goes, you want to go to the dam? I said, nah, I'm going to go down this way. So I went the way he came from, down the tree line, and I was fishing the old shoreline about 10, 12 foot deep on that part. And all of a sudden, bam, I get hit by something big. At first I'm going, oh man, another catfish. Oh, but I got to go back though. I used the fluke, and then Marcus Coates from the KBBT, they were doing their live show because I was competing against Troy Inky that day, and they were like trying to catch up. And I said, I've been using the fluke, and Marcus goes, what? You got to use your confidence. And so this is the Nico here.
There it is.
Yeah, molten craw. And he goes, you got to use the Nico. And so just for kicks, I thought, I'm going to throw it on there and see what happens. And that's when I caught that smallie. It was on the Nico. And
now, as far as that smallmouth goes, I was talking to Nate.
Yeah.
Nate told me that he hooked into a good size fish, and he had a trailer on there, and when he reeled it in, the fish came off, and he was so disappointed. And he looked down, and his bait was bitten in half. I mean, half of it was even missing. And so what happened? Tell us a little bit more about that story.
Well, when I got it in, and I was like the heebie-jeebies, you know.
This was a different fish. You caught this fish. How long was it? Like 10 minutes after Nate caught this fish?
It was about 10 minutes after he hooked into a big one right in that area, you know. But I'd gone the other way. And remember, we got a couple guys out there in boats watching us to see if we're catching anything, because they're like magnets towards us, you know, coming over. And so, because that, I mean, it happens all the time to me out there, or not everywhere, you know, where you start catching them, people come, and I don't mind, you know, too much, but I'm in a tournament, I like to, you know, not share too much there on that, so I measure it, and I take a photo of it, and I throw, and as I'm throwing them, I saw a flash of something. I looked down, and it spit up a plastic, like minnow thing, and it had a nail hit. It was torn up, but it looked new, like it had been used that day. And so Nate, I wave at Nate. I wave at him. He comes down. I go, Nate, man, I got a big one. He goes, what? I go, yeah. I go, I got a 20-inch smallmouth. He goes, you're kidding me. I go, no. And I said, you're not going to believe it, but somebody else caught this recently because it spit up a plastic. And he goes, what's it look like? And I showed him. And he goes, that's mine.
That's crazy. I mean, you caught that fish right after him, and then it spit up his lure.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Nate.
Yeah.
Oh man, that fish was aggressive.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I almost thought maybe it was on a bed down there. You know, I don't know.
It might have been. I mean, hitting that quick back to back, but that's a crazy coincidence.
So then I go two or 2.5 hours without a bite. And so I said, Nate, I'm going back over to where I started this morning, and I'm going to use the Nico, and I'm going to fish the base of those cedars because I think that's where they'll be with this sun out. So I go over there, and Nate goes that way too. We stayed our distance, you know, and stuff. And I start up, and at this point, he's kind of discouraged because he's only got 2 fish or 1 fish. I think he had 1 fish, and I had 3. And so I went ahead, and it's 12:20. You know, I got an hour, and I think it was 12:22, and I hook into about a 16-incher, I think.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's back up just a second.
Yeah.
So it was afternoon, and you only had 2 fish at that point?
I had 3.
You had 3?
Yeah, I
So
had
it was pretty slow. I mean, it's not like you were slaying them in the morning.
No, I had missed a couple, you know. I don't have my notepad. I wrote down the times too. But at 12:22, I think it was, I caught about a 16-incher, and I thought, oh boy, okay, now I got 4, and I'm thinking, one more, Lord, one more, just one more, and I'm going along, and then this whirlwind comes out of nowhere, and it forms a water spout. Remember, there's no wind that day. This water spout comes from behind and hits me, and takes my hat. I grab my hat. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And Nate's over. He goes, it's a dirt. We call them dirt devils here, you know. And I go, that's a water spout. And it actually, like a vacuum cleaner on the water, and brought it up, and it went right by me, and just like 40-mile-an-hour wind with it. And
wow.
And then the breeze came up from the east a little bit. And I'm like, it's changing. Something. And so right then I caught another one. I got my 5. And then he catch my 5th. He left. He went down this other cove. And so he only knew that I had 4. And so I caught my 5th one. And I looked at the board, and I was sitting like 6. And I go, wow, I got a chance. Maybe some gas money to go home with. And then I kept fishing the base. Nate caught one. I think he had 2, you know, there, because I'm trying to think here what happened. But he caught one. Then I caught one after he left. Then I go down this cove, and then I'm down where it's real shallow, like maybe 8 foot. And I see one about a 16-incher come up with the mouth wide open, coming right up my lure, and it goes like this and just slows down and goes back out. You got to be kidding me.
Oh.
And so then I got my 5th one, and then I was sitting 6th, and the board goes off, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get knocked out. Somebody hasn't turned anything in. I got to get another one. For
Sandbaggers.
Yeah. And I'm not one. So I go, and I get a 17-incher, 17 something. And it looked like a spawner. It had a messed up tail on it. And it was a long one. It looked really long. And I got that one. So I upgraded, and I think, you know what? I got a chance at top 3. And then I kept going. I go, you know what? I got to get rid of that 13. I had a 13 on my card. Went around the corner. I'd never imagined I'd catch one there. And it was 127. I was looking at my screen on my fish finder sonar, and I cast it, and bam, 15.5. So
what time was that?
That was at 127.
And lines out were at what time?
1:30.
That's awesome.
And so Joshua looked on his deal. I had 1 minute and 52 seconds left, I think, or something like that, to enter. I mean, I grabbed that fish, slapped it on the board, went, okay, you're in.
Yeah, that was incredibly fast. I saw the submission time, and it was less than 2 minutes until the tournament was over, and that's what bumped you up into first place.
Yeah. I had it submitted within about 45 seconds after catching it.
And that's another reason why you should never give up in a tournament. I mean, right there, the final 30 seconds of a tournament, and it won it for you in that final 30 seconds.
And here's what's funny is, it's funny, but on the way home, I call Richie. I go, Richie, how'd it go today? You know, on Sunday afternoon. And I told him what happened. He goes, man, I told him about the last second fish, you know, and he goes, man, you did that to me up at Summit. I forgot that I had won a trail event in Nebraska one year, and he was leading, and I caught a bass in the last minute in that one. and then at Nationals, Joshua knows this, at Nationals, when we won the Team Cup, I caught my last fish in the last minute there. And
man, you got a pattern going on here.
Yeah, so it's like 3 last second shots.
Well, that did make for a pretty good payday. I mean, you cashed a check in MoYak, you cashed a check in KBF.
Yeah.
That was a really good day on the water for you. And, as you were talking about earlier, you are a principal and,
Yeah.
and up there in Nebraska. So talk a little bit about what you do for your faculty and students if you happen to win some money in a tournament.
Well, for me, it's all about family and community. My son played basketball this year. He's played his whole life, and they won a state championship. They went 29-0 this year. They won a state championship the year before. He was a senior this year, and on the back of their shirts is family. And we have this thing called the Bulldog Way, and we have a lot of cultural building from that. But we all support each other, and so the kids and my admin team, they all support me and what I do too. And so to give back, I think it's important to build those relationships so that you believe in each other. So if I win something, and you know what, I heard this quote actually on the lake. I was listening to a story on pre-fishing of a gal who was telling a story about how she was doing better in her life financially. And so it's like when you do well in life, you don't want to build a taller fence. You want to build a bigger table. So you invite people to your table. You don't separate yourself from them. So for me, I've been blessed with a lot of things lately. And so I don't want to build a fence. I want to bring more people to the table with me and share that with them. And so what I do is 10% of what I win, I should go back. All of the sponsors, whether it's art club or chess club or basketball team or football team, band, music, art, all of it, they all have their club or activity is in a bag. I have it right here. Just a second. Just did one today live, So
everybody in the school, every department, everybody.
Yeah, like I got here, music, yearbook, middle school science labs, science department, junior high football, student council, science lab for the high school, and PE department. These are just a few. There's like about 60 of them in here, and they get their name back in it after they win. They still get it back in there. When I first did it, I just picked an organization, but I thought, what, I got to make this fair. I'm sorry, we drew it, but it was for the whole year. So like the sixth graders won all this money 2 years ago. They had enough for prom. But so what I did is each tournament we draw. So like last week I won $100, and so the softball team got 10. They drew their name. Well, today my son drew today, and the band was drawn, and so the band got $389 because I made $38.90 or something like that, or 80, whatever it was. But they got 10%.
And you just give that money to the band director so he can use it as he sees fit to help the music program?
It goes into their account. It has to go through an account in their school account.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, like last year, the sixth graders, I think they used it for a field trip, for their money. But you know what? And then we take a picture together, and stuff, and share it on our website and everything. And it's not about me. It's just about, sharing my experience with them. And then it builds that camaraderie. And then there's support both ways. Because I support all of our programs, everybody. I mean, just to share with you, one little thing I like to do is I have a blue collar award. And so like you take a charge in basketball, or you might get a fumble on defense, stuff that you don't get rewarded for a lot. And I have candy bars in this old lunch pail, and they get to pick a candy bar out of it when I see them, But you just build that, things that people don't expect. This is not something people expect. And for me, winning the money's great, and but I'd like to, like last year for the Nationals, and I don't think it's real good to say that you do all these great things with money or whatever, but I felt horrible for a family, and so I gave them a lot of money so they could buy a house because their house was underwater from the floods, and that, to me, it was worth $1 million to see their faces and tears and everything for that. So my deal is about giving back, and I'll do that my whole life. I mean, I'm just blessed to have it. I didn't go to Table Rock thinking I was going to win almost $4,000. I thought, you know what? If I could win some gas money, that'd be okay.
Marty,
Yeah, well,
that's
you're
awesome, man.
you're a true ambassador of the sport of kayak fishing, and I thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
And really, that's what it's about. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, these clubs, these small groups that are getting, Josh, your work that you do for us, that's what kayak fishing is all about. It's not about,
Yeah.
it's cool to win and have your moment and take some money home, but
Yeah.
I last year it was my first year competing in tournaments, and
Mhm.
and I've learned so much. Guys are like that. They'll give you the shirt off their back if they wanted to, and
Yeah.
I think that's what make kayak fishing what it is, and it's such a close family, and it's awesome to hear, and that's Marty, you don't have to do that. That's awesome that you do that, man. That's great.
Yeah, like last week in Oklahoma, in Oklahoma at the KBF trail there, I broke one of my fins on my Hobie. I loaned out my other Hobie with the drive because I always carry an extra drive. I loaned it out for somebody else to use, so I only had the one. So I went with one fin during the tournament and went like 6 miles with it. But the thing was, Marcus Coates was on the way. He called every dealer around there trying to find a drive for me. I didn't even know that. He almost went and bought one for me so I could use. That's the kind of people we have.
Yeah, you see that in the sport. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about the boat side of things, but I think it's a little more of a family oriented, in the kayak side of things as far as bass tournaments go, and it's really cool to be a part of.
I always carry an extra board. In fact, this weekend Nate needed a board. I had it in my truck. A life jacket, extra drive, extra tools, extra everything. So that if somebody's in trouble, they lost something, they can have it to use. And I've even carried at Nationals 2 years ago. I had an extra sonar unit. A guy needed a sonar unit. He got to use it, And so it's kind of fun I get more out of that than the actual fishing.
That's cool, man. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, looking at your your Facebook and your stuff, Kayak Jack's guide service and outfitters. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about a little bit about the national championship from the Team Cup. Josh was telling me that you were the one that kind of set that up and went under Kayak Jack's outfitters and guide service.
Okay.
Break that down to us, man.
Well, sure. First, I want to tell you how Kayak Jack's outfitter started, because that's kind of cool. I started in 97, 98, about 22 years ago. And I had knee surgeries, and I just wanted to get some exercise, and had this kayak with a little hole in it, and my legs were tight, and fell asleep in it. I was scared to death, bought a nose plug and a book on how to do an Eskimo roll because I had no idea. I didn't know anybody was even doing kayak fishing. I went out, I saw a fish, long story short, and I'm like, they're just sitting there. So I brought my pole, I started, and the how you say it, the drug was in the tug, or
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
You got hooked.
Yeah. And then after about 6 years, remember, nobody went with me for 6 years except my kids. I did pick up 2 more kayaks later that were from Florida, and nobody goes with me. I thought I was a freak, doing that. And you can hear people talking on the shore. Look at that guy, and I'm going back to these places no one's been to, catching fish, and those 22.5-inch bass, nobody had ever seen that, where I was at. And I was posting pictures on the state fishing site, and people like, how are you catching these? And so I showed them a picture of my kayak, and stuff. I wish I had the digital picture of the first kayak. I have the Perception and the Wilderness System that I had, but so then after 6 years, this guy sees me fishing. He's fly fishing, and he goes, hey, and he's a pastor guy from Kansas. He goes, hey, I want you to take me out fishing. Will you do that? And I said, sure. I said, nobody else will go, because they're going to tip over, and they're pretty stable. And so I said, he goes, I want you to guide me. And I said, well, I'm not really a guide. I just fish, and you can go with me. He goes, no, I'm going to pay you, and you're going to guide me. And I'm like, okay. So we go out, and after we get done, I said, yeah, hey, he thanked me and stuff. He caught some big bass. And he has this big wad of bills, and he goes, here. And I go, no, you don't have to pay me. I'm good. He goes, no, take it. You guided me. You did a great job. You need to do this for a business. And I'm like, okay, I'll go home and see what my wife thinks. So I go home and I said, hey, Diane, I just got paid to take a guy fishing. And she goes just like this. It's about time.
There you go.
It's so, no kidding. That's how it happened. And then, so then I go to school and I tell my superintendent about it, Dallas Watkins. And I said, man, I got paid to go fish. And he'd always call me Kayak. That was my nickname, Kayak. And my first name is Jack, not Marty. So he yells me that. He goes, hey, Kayak Jack. And he goes, come here. He goes, you know, you talking about that guiding, you should just have a business called Kayak Jacks. And that's how I got the name, Kayak Jacks.
That's
so
cool.
Says
Good story.
he gets a cut from the name, you know, because he came. But that's where it started. And we built it. And this is no kidding. My record is 141 guided trips in 1 year.
Wow.
And that was, maybe 10 years ago, maybe. I don't know. It was, we did a Groupon special, which was a big mistake. I couldn't keep up. I was doing shore meals too with this, doing 2 groups a day. And it was a full-time gig. I mean, besides teaching, you know, when I had a day off, I'm taking people out fishing. And that's how it grew. And then they were coming from Lincoln, Omaha, Kansas City, and then Colorado Springs and Denver mainly. And it spread that way. And so people they wanted to buy my kayaks right there. And there really wasn't a lot of stores that carried them, you know, back then. So that's where that all started, and it grew. And then the first tournament was, you had a little piece of paper with like 9 species and 3 little circles on it and a pencil, and you would color in when you caught the fish, and then whoever caught the most won the tournament.
Oh, wow.
Well, DJ, my son, won it. The youth division, of course, but he won the overall. But he was in my kayak riding along, and hey, cast over there, cast, you know. and so we had 10 people, I think, in the first tournament. And I think we gave away trophies in a little 6-foot kayak, you know. And that's how it started for us. That was 2004, I think, when we started that. Not knowing what's going to do today. So let's go fast forward to the Team Cup with Kayak Jacks Outfitters. Actually, it was James Francis who called me, and he says, hey, Marty, there's a team competition for the KBF. Have you seen it? I said, yeah, I saw it. I said, but, you know, I don't know if we can come up with that kind of money to do that. You know, it was expensive. He goes, we got to do it. We have the people to win it. And I'm like, okay. So we got on the phone and started calling around. Jeremiah Smith, Joshua Booth. Who else did we get? And Richie McMichael. That's no brainer.
Yeah, Richie.
And then I feel like I'm the weak link. You know, I'm going, how about if I just be manager or something, you know? And we had asked some others and they couldn't make it, you know, but these are the guys that made it. And we went down there and we collaborated. We fished our own areas. It wasn't like we went out together in formation, you know, and said, let's go take this. It's just, it all came together and everybody caught some big fish. And day one, I think we were in second. We thought we can get this. And then day 2, we just kicked it. I mean, and that put us on the map. You know, Midwest could be a lot of things, but I'm just going to say Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri have some elite anglers in kayak fishing.
Yeah, they really do. And like what you said, I think that brought up a lot of attention to it, and people are starting to see that the anglers from the Midwest, I mean, it's not just those East Coast and those Florida and Texas guys. We got some really good anglers here in the Midwest.
Yeah. And, you know, and you take females, Christine Fisher, for instance. By the way, her hometown is about 40 minutes from where I live. And she graduated with my nephew. So, you know, and we fished together when she first started and stuff. And that's kind of cool. But there was another gal called Wilderness Woman. That's her name, Wilderness Woman, Carrie Brown. She won the Kayakapalooza 4 years in a row. Now, she beat guys like Kevin Workman and Josh Workman.
Wow.
She hammered everybody. Now, you tell me what, and I'm not going to go gender here. I'm just going to say Kerry Brown won 4 years in a row. There's no guy that has won a major tournament 4 years in a row. Josh Stewart's the only guy I know that can do it yet on Kentucky Lake. He's got 2 in a row. I think he's going for 3. But what guy has gone 4 major tournaments in a row against the best anglers in your state? Kerry Brown did.
Wow, that's incredible.
And then now she just kind of fished. She just didn't want to do the tournament thing anymore. I think she had won enough. She's like, you know what, that's good enough for me. And but she's a big supporter of what we do. And you know what? If I was in an alley and I had to go face to face with her, I'm running. It was tough. But you got Christine, you got Kerry, that just the incredible. And then Missouri. I'm that when I looked at that list for the tournament for Saturday, I'm going, oh my gosh, these guys. There's some great anglers here. And I mean, just from that regional last year, seeing what they did. And you know what? James Francis is one of the best anglers I've ever seen and been around. And he's up in Wyoming now. So we're going to consider them the Midwest now since he's in Wyoming.
Yeah, we have to. We got to. Yep.
So
anyway,
that's
talking about that national championship team trial that you guys won last year, are you guys going to have the same squad? Have you guys made any additions or anything like that?
Well, we had to talk to some agents, since then. But no, I'm just kidding. They lowered the fee, and then Joshua has his jersey there. We got Real Tree Fishing to sponsor, and then we picked up some other sponsors, and they're all on there. And then what we did is we said for $50 you can get on our jersey. I mean that's reasonable.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so we got MoYak on there. We got Russell Marine. There's some others on there, and they support us. And so we got those jerseys. So this year we got Jeremiah back, and we got myself. James, of course, with his Air Force job, he couldn't make it. We got Troy Inky this year. Jeremiah Smith has a young family. It's kind of tough for him to go, but he's really good. And then we did have Tyler Cole, but it was with his sponsorship, it didn't match up for what he was doing. And so we also got Christine Fisher on our team. So I think that's 5. Christine, Joshua Booth, myself, Troy Inky. Oh, Richie McMichael. You can't leave out McNasty.
No, we got the ringer right there, and McMichael.
Yeah, so I think we got a shot. If I'm right now. I'm planning on going, and if something happens with school that I couldn't go, I would probably we try to get somebody that could be on there just in case. But right now, I'm planning on going to it. So we got a pretty good team, I think.
Sounds like a great team, man. It sounds like you've already started 2020 off, well, even though with all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
Speaking of 2020, is there any, supporters that you want to thank or shout out to or anything like that?
Yeah, Bass Pro Shops, people, oh man, you're sponsored by Bass Pro Shops. It's not because I'm like Mr. Iconelli or KVD. I'm just a guy who loves to fish, but I love to help others in that endeavor. And so when Bass Pros, what happened was they called me from Benkelman 6 hours away and said, hey, would you come out here and do a seminar in our store on kayak fishing? And I'm like, okay. So I drive all the way out there to do a 45-minute seminar and all the way back home.
Wow.
And that wasn't, I just felt like it was an honor to do that. I'm like, why would they want me to do? And then I did that like a couple years, and then they called me upstairs. And at that time, I did have a sponsor in the Motion Kayaks and really good contract with them. And they brought me up and they said, hey, we'd like to have you on our team, on our professional team. And I go, what do you mean? And they go, well, like a sponsorship. And I go, they go, do you have any contracts that would interfere with that? And I go, I said, I'll ask a motion, but I thought I was in trouble when I got called up there. Because I fish in their tank and stuff without any hooks and do some funny stuff up there. But then they put me on board, and I mean, I have the same contract as the guys on the Elite Series, the same thing, you know, and you know, to have insurance.
Awesome.
And it's a good deal. They support all the kids stuff, but I like to shout out to them because, you know, Bass Pros, I mean, face it, they're big time, and I want to represent them with credibility, and also when I'm out on the water, I'm not any higher than anybody else. I just want them to know that that's a place you can go get great stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I use their great stuff. So Yak Gear, from the very beginning when they started their company, I've been with them. They called me up, I guess because I was the only angler maybe around during that time, you know. And then Bending Branches, they've been really good to me, and I love their paddle. You know, and then Bass Mogul most recently. I've had a lot of other smaller companies like, you know, Semi Stuff and all that. RoboHawk has been, they kind of helped me out, and I help them by promoting their leash, because there's been a lot of cell phones dropped in water. But most importantly, man, she's upstairs right now. I don't want to say this too loud because she gets mad when I talk about it. But my wife is my biggest supporter. You know, man, she's patient with me. She asks me every time if I caught something, and she'll look at the picture. Is that a bass? You know, it's just.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't think any of us could really do this like we do it without the support of our wives. You know, I mean, hats off to all of them out there.
Yeah. And they, you know, the thing is, I think a lot of them know that it reduces our stress. And because, you know, my job, I can't come home and talk about my job. There's too many confidential things. And so a lot of times I'll take a piece of paper and write down all my baggage on it, and then I'll read it, and then I'll crumple it up and throw it away and never say a thing about it. I have to do it that way. And then I go fishing, and but at the same time, when we're together, like tonight, taking a walk with the dog, things like that, you know, and talking about stuff, you know, she's my soulmate, so she doesn't fish out of a kayak. She likes to eat fish. She gets mad when I don't bring anything home. But,
that's awesome.
You know, she's our wives are special to us, that they support us in this and let us do this. You know,
Absolutely.
my birthday was spent in Table Rock, and he made lunch the day before, you know, for my birthday, and got me a new shop vac for my birthday, because the other one, she said, didn't work. And I said, yeah, you know how we are, guys. We like to keep our stuff. And so I felt good about it. She remembered that. And anyway,
that's cool. Well, Marty, again, congratulations, man. Just awesome weekend for you, man. And excited for you. Just, you know, this is the first time I've talked to you and spoken with you. And man, next time you're down here in Missouri, I'd love to meet up with you and just hang out, man. You seem like a great guy. Appreciate what you're doing for the sport of kayak, and appreciate the inspiration you're giving to young anglers like myself. You know, Josh has spoke to you multiple times and hung out with you, and you know, Josh being a great guy as well. You know, I mean, the next time you're down here, I'd love to spend some time with you, and I'm sure that, you know, most of the MoYak guys will be like that. They'd love to hang out and talk with you, man.
Yeah, I love your group. You guys are great people. You know, and I know I talk a lot, guys. Probably overrun your time here even.
No, you're good, man. Go ahead.
You know,
say it honest.
Like Troy Inky, hey, I got a place to stay. That's what's cool about this whole thing. And Brian Hillman, I met Brian Hillman several years ago at Lake Fork, and you know, we've become pretty good friends from that. Jim Harding, I mean, there's just so many guys down there that are so cool and so nice to you. Richie Loffrey, I mean, that he's special to me. Just always just going after it, you know, gives the very best to it, and you know, always reaching out, you know, and stuff. And you know, there's a lot of side comments that people don't see that they send you and stuff. And you know, I was just fortunate and blessed to win that tournament. It could have gone to anybody, but when you do those things, you have a story to tell of how it happened, which is kind of fun. And then for me to win and then get last the next day, I mean, to me, it's a way to tell a story of, you know what, this is what it's like when you win. This was like but you can't let either one like blow up your head, and you can't let yourself get discouraged because of it. And I told Nate this. I said, Nate, there's probably a few guys that came here to this tournament that are beginners maybe that didn't catch a fish and might be discouraged. I said, I can't imagine, because I know we're used to it, but they're not. So we have to reach out to those guys, say, hey, no, man, it happens to everybody. So I want to say that tonight that, hey, I won a tournament and didn't catch a fish that was legal the next day. So it happens to everybody. And,
yeah, definitely. It was tough conditions on Table Rock,
yeah.
man. Really glad you got to come down and join us. Congratulations on your victory. I mean, that was awesome. And thanks for the stories. It's great talking to you.
Thanks. I don't have to borrow any money from my wife to go to fishing tournaments the rest of summer.
You just sponsored yourself, didn't you?
That's right.
Well, Marty, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to see you down here in Missouri again. And man, you are more than welcome with the MoYak family, man. You come down whenever.
Well, like I said, my goal is to get a place down there so that we all have a place to go. Fair enough?
Let's do it. Yep, let's go.
All right. I'm going to work my butt off to do it. So,
Marty, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, guys. This is fun. Thank you. All right.